You have to accept.
Sorry, my microphone got muted for some reason, and my camera also got switched
Yeah,
off.
I think it
Okay.
is for you have to accept the
That you are
responsibility.
okay. Okay, understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's begin with a basic introduction.
You need to
So,
share it again, the screen.
yes, okay, good one. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I have this temporary Breda session which I have started up, and I'm gonna give you the link to this also. So feel free to follow with what I'm doing. But after this demo, I will be closing this session so the link won't be active after this. But for now, let's see if you're able to also. Uh, Actually, you might not be able to access it because you don't have a user account on this.
Okay.
Mm.
That's not a problem. We can do that
But
later on. Yeah.
okay, okay. So again, as I was saying, this was the Breda project that we created in 2024, and within this, we did a lot of analysis for Breda. We created a digital twin for Breda, with which they were able to plan construction work in different parts. And then we were also calculating a lot of healthy and safety indicators for them about walkability in the city, about accessibility, and so on and so forth. Um, but within this setup, what the main thing I saw was if I check out the network, the road network, I saw this did have the I keep on messing up the name.
Which
Moorderdijkburg,
Moerdijk.
Moerdijk,
Moerdijk, yes, Moerdijk.
Moerdijkburg, which was the interesting road link for you guys. So before anything, I should do a very basic introduction of the visualization that you see here. So this is also information, as I mentioned, you will find in the DMI documentation link, which I shared with you. So in the web page, there are four corners which have these kind of interaction tools or some sort of tools. So on the top left, we call this the scenario quadrant. And in the scenario quadrant, you see the name of the project, which is US Predictive Digital Twin Breda. Then you see something called the active scenario, and then you see the reference scenario. So the biggest thing about urban strategy is that it's a scenario-based system. A scenario is the whole network. So basically, a scenario will contain the whole network, be it the road network, zones, districts, buildings, everything, which are relevant for a calculation. So it will be the whole complete network. And then basically, if there are multiple scenarios, then in each scenario, we will have they will have their whole environment. So there will be multiple scenarios with copies of the networks or different networks. And then basically in each scenario, you can make changes and then compare these scenarios to see what was the impact of the change.
Okay.
So what I also did in the demo last time was I was also comparing two scenarios. One was a base scenario which did not have the roads closed, for example. And then in my test scenario or something, I closed a road. And then when I compared with the base scenario, we saw what was the impact of the road closure on the traffic. That's why we saw things which got red or green because I was
Changes.
comparing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. That's the main also big advantage of urban strategy that you can compare two scenarios to see what is the impact of the changes that you made
Okay.
in the scenario. So right now I have an active scenario selected, which is test scenario, which and when I showed you the roads, I was showing you the roads and all of the information for this active scenario. So anything that I do at this point, I will be doing within this active scenario.
Okay.
The, the reference scenario is left empty, but we can select a reference scenario to compare the data.
Because if we don't select a reference, it's just doing the as it is one.
Yeah,
Only
that's
reference comes when we compare stuff.
yes. The relevance for reference is only when you're comparing. Yeah. So basically now there is this small arrow which said scenario selection options. So if I click on this, then I see all the scenarios that were created within this project. So I have a test scenario, which I have already selected as the active scenario. Then I have a test reference scenario. I have something called without buildings. So someone removed buildings. There's a scenario with a traffic reference with traffic plus, and then there is a demo reference. So these are some things which were created by the person who was creating this project. Um, and the idea is we always start with a base scenario for a project which has a clean sync of all the data, be it the road network, be it any object properties, a clean sync. And then the base scenario we do not touch. We make a copy. You see, there is a copy button, so you can copy any of these scenarios. So we make a copy of this base scenario, and that is the first scenario where we start making changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can always compare with the base scenario to see what is the impact of our change. Then if you want to try something new, we can make another copy of the base scenario and make different changes. And then we can compare that with the base scenario or any other scenario that we created. So for example, it could be like we have, let's say, scenario 0 as the base scenario, and then we create scenario 1 where we close certain roads to assess the impact. Then we create scenario 2 also out of the base scenario where we close a different set of roads to assess the impact. And then we can compare 1 and 2 to see, hey, which one is better,
Okay.
something like that. Did closing this set of roads make traffic better or worse than this one? So that's the biggest strength. So you can select any active scenario and then you can select any reference scenario. So for now, let's say I select this test reference scenario because why not? And then right away here in the reference scenario, it says 16 tests reference, which is this one. So I can close it like this. The next thing here is this connection status. So basically you can reconnect the web session. So by default, it's connected. If you click on it, it disconnects. You see it says disconnected, connection closed. If you reconnect, it just reconnects to the default session, and then the reference is not selected anymore. So I have to select again. So it's just basically a connection reconnection kind of a thing. So this does a similar thing as refreshing the web page. So if you ever want to just disconnect and reconnect. The next thing is this control menu, and the control menu has 3 sections. So I can make this a little bit bigger. Maybe let's make it bigger like this. So basically in these 3 sections, we have something called maps, charts, and views. So views are not relevant at this point, so I'm not going to go through those. Maps and charts. These both are output visualizations. So maps are basically visualizations which will show up on the map. So you see something like total verkehr, which is the total traffic intensity. So if I click on this right away on the map, I start seeing the traffic intensity. Let me make it grayscale so it's a little bit more visible. So you see these thick and thin polygons. This shows how much traffic is there on which road. So as you would expect on the highways, there is more traffic. On the inner city roads, there is lesser traffic. Yeah. So you can select other visualizations, and these are all output visualizations. That's the key thing. So you cannot click on them, you cannot interact with them. You can just have a look at the output, and you can even zoom in on certain to see what is the data for this visualization. So like you see a thick road here. What's the value for this? So the intensity for this is 1149. The intensity on this road is 0. So basically, it also shows you data if you zoom in too much. Otherwise, you just see the main visualization map. So we have air quality, noise visualization. This is the noise data visualization. So if I select this, this shows the noise map. How is the noise quality within the Breda region? So, and then on the left side, you also see this legend with each of these layers, which explain what these colors mean. So if you see this black, purple, you see these mostly on the highway. So since there are so many cars, there is much more noise there. And then, yeah, that's why. So this is a noise visualization. Then we have air quality NO2. So you see the NO2 visualization again on the roads, the air quality is worse. So you see more red patches, and then in green areas, it's empty
Much
areas,
better.
it's green, it's much better. Yeah. So we have a lot of these output visualizations, and these are created by the simulations that we run. So if you or anyone creates a new model, they can use a lot of these map-based visualizations that we have created to visualize your own data also on the map. Then the charts are basically just charts, as you would expect. And if you open a chart, yeah, my Dutch is not the best, but whoever configured this project decided to configure a lot of these things in Dutch because most of the municipalities prefer things in Dutch.
Yeah.
So basically, in this, I think this is the mode choice. I think the total trips per mode or something like that. So you see a graph where you see cars. This many trips were done with cars. This many trips were done with cycle. This many trips were done with OV, public transport, within the Breda region. So this is an output indicator, but you see a dark blue and a light blue. The light blue is there because we have a reference scenario selector.
Okay.
So in the graph, also you see the active and reference scenario visualization right next to each other. So you can see, okay, is there a difference between them? Oh, I missed this. On the map, sorry, I should have shown this to you too. On the map, if we selected this layer, which is, for example, the road intensity, this thing where the name of the active scenario and reference scenario were showing now becomes buttons. So since by default, the active scenario is selected and we see the data for active scenario, but I can now go and click on reference scenario and then I see the data for reference scenario.
Reference. Ah, okay.
And then I go and click on difference, I see some difference. So maybe someone closed some roads here, and that's why I see a difference in the traffic. So that's how you see the difference in visualization. And I can do the same with any other layer. So if I go to the PM10, then basically let's let it load up. So on the top, the active scenario, as I said, is selected by default. I can click on reference, I can see the data, and then I can click on difference to see, hey, there is a difference here. So someone has run some calculations in the past, and that's why there is some difference between these two
Difference.
scenarios. You can also switch between active and reference, and you also see the difference. Like in the active scenario, this part is a little bit darker yellow. In the reference scenario, it's lighter yellow, and that's why in the difference you see it got worse in the active scenario. That's why it's more red compared to the reference scenario. So this is how we compare data. And then, as I said, both these maps and charts are output visualizations. That's the main thing to know. And when you open a layer, then you see all these legends explaining what these colors are. Okay. Um, moving to the bottom left part. In the bottom left part, this is the layer quadrant where we have more information about the different map visualization. So you see here, you can do a street map, just like Google Maps. In Google Maps, you also can change into a gray map, satellite, dark. So those kind of things, those are the basic things. And then the things that you see here, these are what we call the basic layers or the interaction layers.
Okay.
But- So just to give you a little bit more example, so if you remember, I selected this network to show you the road network.
Yes.
And basically what happens is, and it shows up as these blue lines or something. And then basically you can click on a road. It becomes pink because you clicked and selected it.
Good.
You can
Yeah.
do it for anything else. And then you can right click and then you can do object properties. So you will get the properties of this road link. What is the intensity of this road link? What is the speed of this road link? And in this properties form, you also see active, reference, and difference. So you see that for the active scenario, the intensity and the reference scenario is different. So because we have two scenarios selected, that's why you see a form like this. It shows you also a numeric comparison between the network data. And then basically what you can do is you can also change the properties of the road, like closing a road. But that is something you do from the right quadrant. So once we go there, I'm going to talk about this. But these, any layers that are defined here, you can select and you can view their properties and change properties and things like that. So nodes, for example, uh, these are the traffic nodes, contains stops and junctions and all of those. So you see a lot of these, you can click on them, you can check the properties. It just gives the node ID, but the form can be configured to show much more properties. So this is all configurable. Everything is configurable. Then you see the buildings data, for example, so Gebouwen. So if I zoom out, you see that this is the building network for Breda. I can zoom in, I can select any building, I can select the properties of the buildings, the same thing. The number, the height of the building, the number of inhabitants, so on and so forth. So basically, for your work also gradually for different networks, we will be adding new layers, new visualizations on the map. So you are able to see uh, different kind of networks on the map. So for that, we need the shape data for any new visualization that has to be done. We need any properties which you would like to first display and also use in the future for calculations.
Okay.
So those are the two basic things we need in the data if you want to start with a visualization later for calculation. And then basically this is the main thing about layers. And then basically if we move to the top right corner, so there is this notification panel. In this you get notifications or any messages you can clear and so on and so forth. The next one is the model control. So it shows you a list of all the simulation models that you can start on your active scenario. So since I'm on V6, I can start all of these models on my active scenario. And you already see something called a tiler running. So this tiler is a drawing service which draws all of these map layers. So when I click on this, we see these roads, right? When I went here, I saw these visualizations. These are all drawn by this tiler service.
Okay.
So this is also something we created, our own tiler engine. So with the model control, you can start all the models. The lead follow, this is more of a presentation tool and it's not relevant for now, so we can just ignore that. This one is more of the changing the theme and some user information for changing the units and light and dark. So it doesn't have a lot more at this point. And this one is just closing the project. So you can close the project and basically when you're done working, you should click on this button to close the session
Okay.
because it then does a cleanup of memory, deallocates a lot of things and so on and so forth. Now, the bottom right section, this is the most important one. This is the interaction section. This is the place through which we make changes in the network and trigger recalculations or trigger simulations and stuff like that. So the most basic example for me to do is the roads. So basically what I can do is, let's say if I do the network, which shows a road network, then if I click on a road link, let's say this highway. Right now, I don't have a traffic assignment model running. So the first thing I should do is actually start a traffic assignment. So I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to start traffic plus because then we can actually close a road and see the traffic being reassigned on different roads. So you see then there's a loader thing going around it showing that it's getting ready. And if you scroll down, you'll see traffic plus is marked as busy.
Okay.
Mm, let me check how it's going. So the Traffic Plus is a very big model, and we do a traffic assignment for a big network. So usually it takes maybe 40 seconds, 50 seconds to start up. And then if we trigger recalculation, it again takes like 40, 50
Uh,
seconds to
just
recalculate.
a question for suppose with the existing system, right?
Hmm.
We are mostly, I'm just thinking over the head, because we work with bridges and stuff. For
Of
just
course.
so can we just close one bridge and see what will happen if I want to walk on the bridge or something like this. So that's possible and as it is, right? Without
Hmm.
doing anything else.
But closing a bridge, then what kind of impact do you want to see? That's the new model that will be created, for example.
Yeah,
So the
for example, the traffic. For the very
sure,
basic one, start with the traffic. So if I want to work with the bridge, what time I can work, something like this, the concept,
sure.
planning and everything. So
Yeah,
just to make it relevant in my mind, yeah.
no,
So it
definitely.
can be done without doing anything here, right?
Without doing anything
I
here
mean,
as
without changing anything with your existing data and system.
yes and no. I mean, so basically, if for example, let's say to an extent, yes. So let's say if we go here, I think this looks like maybe a bridge. I'm not so sure, but maybe it
What,
is.
well, let's take it. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
bridge.
So basically, yes, with the current system, you can go and click on this road link, which is quite a big link, and then you can change the properties of this. You can close the road and then see what happens to the traffic, for
Okay.
example. So yes, with the current system, yes, you can already do that. You can find something else. I don't know, maybe like this one where which was the one which was interesting for you, the Moerdijkburg. You can just click on this whole link and then you can close it, for example, and see what happens to the traffic. So because right now, if you remember, I showed you this total Verkehr, which is the total traffic intensity.
Yeah.
By default, right now it's going to difference. If I go to active scenario, then go here, you see a lot of traffic is coming on this. So if we close this, I'm expecting something is going to happen. I don't know what, maybe not something that nice because it's at the edge of the network. So we might need
Something
a
will to happen. Yeah.
yeah, something will definitely change, but let's give it a shot. Let's try closing this and see what happens. So, but one thing to note is when I click on such an object, so let me show you one quick thing very quickly. So if I click on a road like this, you see a small single-sided arrow kind of a thing. So this
Yeah.
shows that it's a road on this side,
Direction.
on this direction. And
Ah.
if I click on this side of the road, the arrow goes on this. So each
Yeah.
road has a left and a right side. And if you do like the properties at this point, you will also see in the name it says L underscore L dash this thing. And then if I keep the form open and click on the other side, then it becomes right dash. So basically the left and the right side have different properties as you can already see. So here the intensity on the left side is 382, the speed is 50 kilometers, the capacity is 3200. And on the right side, the intensity is much more. So there's a lot more traffic going on the right side of the road. The speed and capacity are the same. So basically, yes. So this is also something good to know. Which side of the traffic do you want to close? Because a lot of these roads are double-sided, and if it's a single-sided road, then for either the left or the right, you will see the value set to 0. So we can also have a look, for example, at this. So like this one also has a lot of traffic going along in the bottom direction, but if I click on the right side, uh, then basically you see the speed is 0. So there is no, this is a one-way street. There is no traffic going from here to there. It's only incoming traffic from Rotterdam side to Breda side. So basically this also tells me that now if for this side, I add a control to close the road, the control, okay, talking a little bit about controls. So controls are these switches basically with which we override a property of an object.
Okay.
So we don't want the users to be able to, let's say, do object property and in the form just go and change the speed to 0, because then that's directly corrupting the data. And then if the user does this for 20 roads on the network and then they forget what they
That's
changed,
everything.
yeah, then there is no way back. Then the network is just corrupted. So what we came up with is the user is not allowed to directly change the property of an object, but they can add this control thing. So to add a control, all you have to do is go and click on this add button. So you select an object on the map, be it a road, be it a building, be it anything, and then you click on add. And since it's a road that we have selected, for roads we can apply specific kinds of controls. We can add speed and capacity for the car, speed and capacity for bikes, and then maybe we can add a tunnel thing. So let's say we add a speed and capacity for car, which is what we want to do. And let's say we call it something close bridge. Yeah, because we are closing this bridge. You can give it a description if you want. And then in dimensions, for now, I'm going to select Arwen auto. So so in traffic modeling, the simulations are done for a specific part of the day. So within traffic modeling, we do traffic simulation for the morning peak of the traffic, the evening peak of the traffic, or the rest of the day. So that's what the dimensions are. Dimensions are a combination of the part of the day and the modality.
Okay.
So what I'm saying that for our AS is Avonspitz, which is evening peak. When people are coming back from their offices, going home, then there's a lot of traffic going on. So for that time, for auto is just car. So I want to just close the bridge only for this dimension. I can do it for
AS means here evening. So if I
yes,
do the morning
Avonspitz.
thing, then what will happen?
This project does not have a configuration for Octanspitz, the morning peak, but
Okay,
we
okay,
can also have that configuration. So if there is data for the morning peak traffic, then we can also change the properties for the morning peak and see what happens in the
okay.
morning. So as long as there is data, you can do those kind of things. So for now, this has, as you can see, mostly all of them are Avonspitz, which is evening peak of the traffic. So for car, for trucks, for a combination of car and trucks, for bikes and for public transport. So, but for now, let's say for this road, I want to, for the evening peak auto, I want to set the speed for this road, I want to set it to 0.
Okay.
If I click on apply, right away, nothing is going to happen because we first need to visualize the control on the map, basically. So the next thing we do is you see this controls button at the bottom
Yes.
right. So you can go here. So what you see here is you see then a list of all the controls that were created, and then you see the controls which are already active. So you remember in the city center, we were seeing that there is a difference in the traffic intensity
Yeah.
and the air quality because these controls were
Active.
activated by someone. And at the very end, you see the control that we created, the closed bridge on the road. And then basically, so either you can enable the control from here and click on apply changes, or you see these map filters. So basically, these are filters for all the types of controls. So there is a road type control, there is zones, bikes, buildings. We can apply controls on any kind of object, as I mentioned. So for this project, controls were configured for these, but I created a road control. So if I select this and close this window, I start seeing the control on the map, the object. And if I zoom out, you will see there are much more road controls. So remember, we were seeing some traffic changes in this region
Yes.
because these controls are active. Someone created this and made some changes there. But we created this new control and it's kind of light blue, which means it's deactivated at this point. And we can right click on it and then we can enable it. And if we can also check the properties, and the properties just say speed to 0, as we said. So what if as soon as I click on enable, you see traffic right away went to busy, right away. So again, the publish subscribe thing happened. I made a change to the data, and since the traffic model was subscribed to
I
that data,
see data.
it started reacting. Now, if you remember, I mentioned these layers are the interaction layers. So we interacted with the object, but now we want to visualize the output. Did something change with us closing this road? And that output visualization layer were these ones. So I'm going to go to the traffic intensity visualization, which I showed you before also.
Yeah.
And if you see, we still see a lot of traffic going through this because the traffic reassignment is happening right now. Once it's done, we will see this polygon disappear. You see this whole thing? This should disappear ideally because we are closing this road, then traffic should not be able to come in.
Yeah.
And right now, if I go to the difference, then right now I do not see a difference. Oh, already, I think it's done. Ooh, there is a drastic traffic reduction.
Probably
S
just
yeah,
other stuff.
yeah. So I think there might be other lanes for other dimensions, but basically, you see, in the reference scenario, this was this thick.
Yes.
In the active scenario, it become quite thin. I do not know why it's. Oh, it's the other road. Oh, there is one more road, I think there. But if I go now to the difference, you see there is no traffic flowing here. So there is a reduction in traffic throughout the network. You see?
Okay.
So you see these green parts? This is a reduction because of us closing that part of the road. Ah, okay, now I understand why this is happening. This says total verkehr. So we are seeing a combination of car and truck traffic through this. So we I close it only for the cars.
Code for the car. Yes.
Yeah, that's why we see a still a little bit of thing here. This is the truck traffic which is
Plus
still
coming.
seeping
Yeah.
in. And then since the car traffic got reduced quite a lot, so in each, if you see in reference, it was this high, the total traffic, it got reduced to something this small. And then if you go in difference, you see there is this much of a reduction on all the roads. And then also some increase in this road because maybe some other cars or some other vehicles started traveling, taking that route. But if you go anywhere in the network, you will see there's an impact of this change in a lot of places. There's a little bit of a reduction on this road, a little bit of increase on this. So basically, then you see throughout the network that the traffic reassignment had a difference, has an impact, sorry. And then basically, if I what we can do with the control is I can just go and right click and disable this, and then it'll go back to its normal state. So the traffic assignment model, you see, it went to busy again one more time. It's going to recalculate, and then basically it's the difference is going to be gray or this light blue thing again. So this is a normal interaction or a normal use case for the system. Uh, what I plan to do is for the time being, I think the best thing to do is that we start an environment on one of our servers, just like this. I have this running on one of our servers. There is a web-based URL. You see portal.urbananalytics.nl. So you can open this on your own laptop. You don't have to worry about where it's running on the servers. And then you can just start the models that are interesting for you. For now, I just started Traffic Plus, but we can also start the air model, and then you'll also see changes in the air NO2 PM10 layer because of the redistribution of traffic. Hey, it's done. So you see, it went back to normal.
Okay.
There is now not anymore any change. So yeah. So disabling the control fixed that. So this is a very basic demo of the system. And yeah, as I was saying, I think the best thing forward for now is that I start a setup on one of our servers, maybe for this in Breda environment itself, or maybe if you have any other city in mind which is more interesting or which would resonate a lot more with the group that you want to show this to. I can see if we have a cutout for that city or that region.
For us, I think we can start with the Brother Amsterdam, whichever you have the most data, so that we can also learn how to use the data, existing data as well. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let me check with Ralph, which environment makes a lot more sense. Because this bridge was mentioned, that's why I went
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
Breda.
Brother,
And
the Mosaic one is the one we use a lot in our project. So
then
it,
then maybe Breda is not a bad place to
Brother
begin.
of the bed start. Yeah,
Yeah. So what I would do is, because this is a project we did for the client, what I can do is I can create a very separate setup, not this one, make a copy of this network, make a copy of make one or two scenarios. So I will create one reference scenario, which we will not change. I will create a play or test scenario where you can just do exactly the same kind of thing, where you close the road, see the impact, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But that yeah, and later, if you want, we can also set the whole thing up on your own local laptop. But the key thing to know about that is, since, for example, the traffic assignment model requires a GPU. So if your laptop does not have a GPU, it's not going to run.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can still run the backend. You can still see the map visualization. You can see the layers. You can see the charts, all of these things. But if unless until you have a simulation model running, you cannot do the interaction.
Okay.
So to do any such kind of interaction, like closing a road, adding new traffic demand to a traffic zone, adding shopping complex to a traffic zone, and then because of that, adding new traffic or assessing the impact of new kinds of mobilities and stuff like that, you need a model running in the background to react to these kind of things.
So this also works in the with the server or not?
Yeah, the model, everything is running on one of our servers. So when I clicked on play, they started up the Traffic Plus on one of our servers, which is related to this environment. So you don't have to do much. You just start Traffic Plus. You say, okay, I also want to start the air simulation. You just click on play. It will take a few, maybe a minute or so to start up. So just wait till you see it become ready. Then if you want, there is an indicators model which calculates. So the indicator model calculates these indicators. So basically, when the air or the traffic model do their calculations, the indicator model picks up the results, accumulates it all, and puts them in these charts. So we have a lot of these models depending upon the use case. So just for a basic demo use case, I think these are the three main models that you need to start up. You need to start the traffic assignment, you need to start the air quality and the indicator. And
Okay.
then we can create a demo around that for you. That you close a road, and then you look at the map to see what's the impact of the closing the road, and then you maybe look at the air quality to see what's the impact of closing that road, and then maybe you look at the indicators to see, okay, when I close the road, now suddenly the number of cars have dropped down, number of trucks has increased. I don't know, something like that.
Makes sense. Yes, that definitely there's a step one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the future, if any new model development has to be done, I will share the templates. I will tell around how to create a new model by yourself.
Yeah.
And then basically for anyone who is developing the models, we can set up the environment either on their own local laptop, where they start the whole IMB communication layer, the whole shebang on their own laptop, or they can just use the session running on one of the servers and attach the local
Yeah.
model that they're building on their system
That
to
server.
that. So that's also very much possible. So this is how we develop the system, that it's very easy to connect to. It's easy to set it up on your own laptop. It's easy to run it on a server, connect your own specific session to that server. So it's all very, very possible.
I think one of the plan probably right now, okay, first thing first, let me have some time to work around and everything, and then we
Of
can
course.
have another sessions to learn more about little bit how to and what the requirement about the creating the model and what will be the system, what will be the template. So we can
Hmm.
leave that for the another session. So first thing,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, so I agree. I think we should maybe schedule one more meeting next week, because this week, Friday, there is the meeting with Ralph. I'm hoping he's going to have a presentation where he talks about the capabilities of the system. And then basically that presentation is also something you can maybe take from Ralph. And for any future demos or introductions that you do, you can use that presentation to show the overall capabilities of the system, and then use this demo to show like how you actually work in real time. That you close a road, traffic assignment, air quality calculations happen in one go.
Definitely, definitely, yes, yes. And I'll set up. I'll send a request too for another meeting as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I think it would be nice to do it next week. So preferably on a Wednesday for me. Wednesday is a little bit of a lighter day, so I prefer doing. Uh,
Yeah, no worries. Next Wednesday, I'll keep that in mind. I'll send you a
yeah.
request. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If it's also okay with you, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. Same
Okay.
here. Wednesday is kind of quiet.
Nice. Good to hear.
Thursday and Tuesday are the crazy days.
Same. 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 Yeah. But does this cover the things you wanted to know at this point, or are there
And
any other
then
questions?
definitely there's the intro part we need. And yeah, once you set up a system and give me the access, I'll start playing around and read. I'll in the meantime I'll read. I have quite a things to read.
Of course, of course. So,
Yes.
what I propose is because I also need to create an account for you on the environment and all of this. So, what I can do is before our next meeting, preferably next week, Tuesday, sorry, Wednesday, I will create this new environment, which I will also maybe is the same Breda thing which I'm showing you, but a separate project, a separate environment, which I might also show in the meeting on Friday. But then next week, Wednesday, when we have the call, I will create an account for you. I will show you can create your own credentials, and then basically I can share the web URL portal with you. For the portal, I can share the web URL with you, and then you can do exactly these things by yourself, and I will just be there to walk you through it.
Definitely.
Is that okay?
So, yes, that's perfect. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I hope you don't have any other meetings today.
No, 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 no. I just had a work block after this. So, but again, I think this is very relevant. I'm very happy that we are also picking up development of different models for the digital twin within the whole unit. Because the thing is, urban strategy was developed with more of a traffic mindset, but it is much more capable of doing
Yeah, that's
just
what I was
that.
thinking. Yes, because
Yeah.
even this existing setup, we can do quite a lot. And then if we were start adding things, it will be really nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we have done projects where we have done things completely separate from the traffic. So for example, as I mentioned for Breda, we did a lot of healthy and safety indicator calculations, which did not take into account traffic. They took into account the building density and the green areas and the walkability index calculations and all of these.
If you can add these three things, it will be very nice for me as well to play around because
It is
yeah we
uh,
deal with this kind of stuff quite a lot as well.
so even I can show you right now. Do
Yeah,
you see my screen?
yeah, yeah,
I hope you still have time. I mean, we have
yeah,
gone
yeah.
over our time span, but yeah, okay, I can show you very quickly. So within this setup itself, I moved the control. But let me disable these, clean up the map a little bit. So within this setup itself, you see, if I go to the map visualizations here on the top, you see these stuff called air emissions combined, EC, the green area, health index. This is done already here. So if I click on green area, then you will see a visualization here which tells us throughout Breda which parts of Breda have the most greenest area. So you see this part has very less buildings, so it's a big green patch. And then if you go to the city center, it's much more red because there are lots of buildings in that area. So this is calculated with that. Then we have a health index calculation. I can share the paper maybe with you around how we calculate these things. But yeah, this is the health index calculation. So it shows you per district what is the state, and then you have like a normalized z-score that we are visualizing here. We also do noise calculations. How is the noise in different regions? So if I select noise highly annoyed, So there is a lot of noise happening apparently in in these red districts. So the inhabitants have a high annoyance with noise in these regions, but in the region up here, since it's just a green area, the noise is very low, as you would expect. So those kind of calculations and indicators we were also calculating here. And yeah, air quality things, and then subjective safety, walkability index. So if you go to, for example, walkability, then you will see something like this. So walkability is a combination of accessibility, like are there enough roads? Is there enough greenery? Is there a good balance of things? So this part is maybe not that walkable because even though it's a green area, it does not have that many roads. But this part seems like a really good balance of everything. So it has a high walkability index. Same with this part. So we do a lot of these subjective index calculations for subjective safety and health index and so on and so forth.
So
Yeah,
just a question, sorry. So when you were talking about this, these are the modules we are talking about, right?
so basically for this, I developed this module called Healthy Living Safety
Yeah. So
Indicators.
these are the modules, you calculation more analytics modules you are adding and do the calculation. Yes.
Yes. So basically, with this module, exactly as you said, I read through all the data, the network information. I have information about the building density. I have the information about the roads. I have information about the types of objects on the map. Where are there green areas? Where are there buildings? And with that data, I created this analytical model, which provides output for all of these visualizations, which I'm showing you. So exactly this, we can also in the future, if you want to do a different kind of analysis, doesn't have to be related to traffic. If
Yeah.
as long as there is data, we can do it.
That's the main thing we are getting into. Yes.
Yes. So the biggest thing is data, and geographical data and which is required for computation. As long as we are able to acquire that, we can put that in the urban strategy data stores, which is very capable of handling large data sets. And then also it's extremely fast with retrieving, reading, and writing data sets. So that's why when I showed you the traffic assignment, when I close a road, just to put things in perspective, there are a few 30, 40, 50,000 road links, or maybe even more, and basically did a traffic assignment for the whole gigantic network on the GPU. For that, it read in all the data, it did the calculation, then it wrote everything, and that was under a minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, the IMB architecture is very efficient in that sense. So as long as we have data, it doesn't matter how big, but yeah, we can do a lot of things around this.
And definitely.
Yeah, I will make sure to include all of these visualizations also in the setup for you. So,
Completely.
and then gradually, maybe in the next meeting, I can walk you through everything that's configured here, and maybe I can configure some additional good things
That
for
will be
visual.
really nice, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, do you have any other questions for me? I know it was a lot
Um,
of information, but
no, not at the moment. I think I get some task to do, so probably
of course,
I'll definitely have some question next time when we see.
that's absolutely fine. But yeah, so the two document links are the first
Yeah,
starting point, and the next meeting, I will make sure I have a session ready for you. And
me
then
too.
we, yeah,
Yes, thanks a lot.
you're very welcome.
Thank you, and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah,
And let me know if you have any questions or anything later. Yeah.
sure, sure, sure. Thanks, man. See ya.
Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye.